Okay, so for the online people, hope my voice is clear for you. Can you please respond me on chat once? Okay, so we can start today's class. So last class we have seen demo, right? What exactly is DevOps and why we need DevOps. So on today's class, we are going to discuss an important thing for every software engineer, no matter you are tester, no matter you are developer. This will be the important for each and every software engineer. Okay, like is anyone working here? Is anyone working? I mean, like on software, is anyone working? Okay, not an issue. As a software engineer, what is our main motto? To develop the software applications, right? Our main motto is to develop the software applications. But the thing is, how many kind of applications are there in market? We need to know it. Lot of people will work, lot of people are aiming to work, but nobody doesn't have the proper knowledge about the software architecture. If you want to construct a building, okay, if you want to construct our own house, we need to prepare architecture or not? Definitely we need to prepare architecture. Likewise, when you are working on a software, to develop the software, what we need is we need to develop the software architecture. What we need to develop? Sir, what is software architecture means? Remember, software architecture consists of mainly 4 types. How many types? First one is your 1-tier architecture. Second one is your 2-tier architecture. Third one is your 3-tier, and fourth one is your. So remember, on real time, like when you are going for the experience level, not for the fresher will don't have any idea about this. But for the people who want to go with experience, they will ask some questions like this: on what kind of architecture do you have worked on previous organization? Okay, coming to about the architectures, how many type of architectures we have? 4. What are those? 1-tier, 2-tier, 3-tier, and n-tier. So here we can call tier as layer as well. So tier can also be called as, you can call it layer or you can call it as tier as well. So for every architecture, there will be 3 layers. How many layers? Those are presentation layer, business layer, and third one is your database layer. So one more time I'm telling clearly, type of software architectures are 4 types. Software architectures are, what are those? 1-tier, 2-tier, 3-tier, and n-tier. So coming to the layers, how many layers will be on each architecture? 3 layers. What are those? Presentation layer, business layer, and database layer. So this business layer is also called as application layer. You can call it as business layer or you can call it as application layer as well. Okay, so let's discuss each about this, because if you want to develop a software, we need to know about each and every component, right? While you are developing a software, everyone will develop software. You can use Python, you can use Java, or you can use C, C++, Go language. All these are, there will be many number of languages. But no matter on which language you are going to develop the application, you need to know the basic component of application. What we need to learn? So those are called as your layers. Your first layer is called as presentation layer. What is presentation layer? Like you will have a idea when you listen this word, right? What is the meaning of presentation? To show something, right? To show something is called as your presentation layer. So let me take our example as Paytm. Spent. For example, this is your Paytm application. Once you open your application, what you will see inside? Like you are going to see the interface, like what are the components that are going to present by the Paytm application. So Paytm application contains some of the services. What an application contains? Remember, every application you are going to work, all you are going to see the service only. If you are using an application, Application will consist of service. For example, let's take WhatsApp application. The main purpose of WhatsApp application is to communicate. So they are offering the services like call services, chat services. Let's take YouTube. They are going to offer streaming services. Like you can listen to the music, you can see the movies, and you can listen to the songs. All these are going to be your service. So when you are talking about the application, what does application consist of? Service only. Okay. So while you open this Paytm application on your mobile, you are going to see the services, right? One is like movie service, train ticket service. All these are we are going to see there. Let me take an example for you. So let me open this one. Paytm application. If you open the application, what you are going to see? Services. All these are your service or not? Paying bills is service, DTH is service, train ticket is service, and bus ticket is service. All these are going to be your services. If you want to use the service, you need to see the service, right? If I want to use the service, I need to see the options of the service. Sir, how can I see the services? By using layer called presentation layer. Which layer? Application will consist of services. Services can be visible by using which layer? Presentation layer. If there is application consists of some services. Without seeing the services, can we use the service? No, right? So for that purpose, which layer is going to help us? Presentation layer. So listen, it is also known as client layer. You can call presentation layer as client layer because it is serving to the client. Client means the person who is using this application is called as client here. Okay. So it is always your top layer of the application. So one more time I'm telling. Presentation layer is also called as your client layer. And it is the topmost layer of the application. When you talk about the application, always the client layer will be the top of the application. Next, this is the layer we can see when we use the software. So remember, if you want to see this application layer, first of all, I need to use the software. Without using the software, I cannot see the application layer. By using this layer, we can access the web pages. So main functionality is this one. If someone asks on interview, what is the main usage of the presentation layer? By using the presentation layer, what we can do? We can access the web pages. So if you go and see here, is it a web page or not? So these web pages can be visible by what kind of layer? Presentation layer. So the main purpose of the presentation layer is to access the web pages only. Perfect. So, and one more thing, the presentation layer is also communicating with the application layer. To which layer it is going to communicate? Because if you see, like for this diagram, it is your application actually. So let's take, these are some of the services. Service 1, service 2, service 3, and service 4. Okay. All these services can be seen by which layer? Presentation layer. Okay. But if we want to use this service, we need to interact with the application layer. We need to go for the application. So it is considered as your application layer. First one is your presentation layer. Second one is your presentation layer is used to see the web pages of the application. And as well as presentation layer is always going to interact with the application layer. Why it is going to interact with the application layer means, if we want to use the service on application, we need to interact with the application, right? Without interaction with the application, we can't use the service there. So here interaction is going to take place by API. What we are going to use? Application programming interface. It is what we call as. So the communication is going to happen with the API only. Okay, that's fine. Then after that, this layer passes information. Let me remove this. The layer passes information which is given by terms of keyboard actions, mouse click to the application layer. Sir, you said that we are going to interact with the application layer. Presentation layer is going to interact with the, but how the interaction is happen is going to be by using API. For example, let's take this one. Let's open one more thing, like we know Book My Show, right? Book My Show application. Let me open this one. Book My Show. If you open this one, currently we are on which layer, guys? It is your presentation layer only. We are not into the application layer. The things that you are seeing completely is on presentation layer. If I want to interact with the application layer, I need to perform an operation. I can click by using a mouse click. So when I click the mouse button here, so presentation layer is going to interact with the. So now here you are seeing your application layer. This is your application layer. Previously you have seen is, but now you are seeing application layer. From presentation layer to application layer, how we have interacted? By using API. So when you click by using a mouse button or when you enter some input through keyboard, these actions are going to interact with the application layer. So in simple words, presentation layer main functionality is to view the application. On interview point, like if you don't remember all of these things, if you can't able to remember all of these, just remember this simple line. Presentation layer is used for to view the application. That's it. That is enough. So one more time I'm telling about the presentation layer. Presentation layer also called as your client layer. It is always be your top of the application. Okay. By this layer, what we can do is we can access the web pages. What we can access? But what is the main functionality of this presentation layer? To communicate with the, how the communication is going to take place by using API. So when you click the mouse or when you click the keyboard buttons here, the communication is going to happen there. In simple words, like if you are not able to remember all of these things, in simple words, for which purpose we are going to use this presentation layer? That's it. So have you got a clarity about this layer now? Why we are using presentation layer? Okay. And the second layer is your application layer. What is your second layer? Sir, what does this application layer use for? Application layer contains the application. Okay. So here, what is the application that we have developed? We are going to use on this application layer. Okay. So this application layer is also known as business logic layer. What is application layer called as? We can call application layer as business logic layer as well. Okay. And you can also call as logic layer. Application layer, logic layer, or business layer. Anything you can call. Okay. It controls an application functionality by performing the detailed processing. So that means it is telling that while you are working with the application layer consists of the application. What it consists of the application. So here you are going to perform the processing. What you are going to perform is you are going to perform the processing. This layer acts as the mediator between presentation layer and database layer. If you see all of these three layers, first of all, presentation layer is going to communicate with the, then application layer communicate with the. So what is the intermediate component here? Always application layer will be the, yes, simply front-end work is your presentation layer. Okay. Like it consists of your HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and some of the frameworks, React and Vue.js, right? So all these comes to the front-end part. So this part will be covered later. I will tell you like what you are going to include on front-end, what you are going to include on back-end. So when we are talking about servers, I will tell you. Okay. So this application layer is the intermediate between presentation layer and database layer. So what we are going to do on the application layer is we are going to processing. What we are going to do? For example, if you go to this one, it is your which layer, guys? Application layer. So if you want to do some actions here, if you want to use the application, I need to perform some processing. So if I click on book tickets, like select any of the movie. There are some n number of movies here. Masuda. So take this one and click on book tickets. So here you are performing the operation. What you are going to perform? So if I see here, am I able to see all of the tickets here? So what I'm doing is I am going to do some operation here. So if I click on select seats and this, am I going to book tickets or not? Sir, how we are going to book the ticket? Means here I'm on application layer. So when you are on the application layer and you are some performing the operations, then the thing is going to be taken care by the application layer only. Okay. So complete action is going to perform on which layer, guys? Application layer. Presentation layer is to only show the application processing. Like simply we can see the application. And this application layer is used to do the processing. What are the operation you want to perform on this application can be performed on which layer? Application layer. In simple words, complete business logic layer will be written here. That means what are the application code that you have used will be written on this application layer only. Sir, like, is there any way to remember all of these points in simply? Yes. In simple words, application layer used to perform the operation of the applications. What we can use for? To perform the operation on the application. So presentation layer is to just to view the application only. We can't do anything on the presentation layer. Presentation layer is to just to present the application. We can only able to see the web pages. But complete action will be performed on which layer? Application layer. So here you can do whatever operations you want to do on the application. And what is your final layer? Database layer. So this database layer, simply by using this name, you can tell database layer is to store the data. For every application, you are definitely going to maintain the database. Sir, why we need to maintain the database? For example, if we talk about Paytm or like this Book My Show application. If you see here, you are going to see what kind of seats you need to book, right? So all this data is going to present on which layer? Database layer. So this Book My Show movie tickets contains how many users booked today's ticket. Okay, what kind of movies they have booked for, and how much amount they have spent on the tickets. Everything we are going to store on a database, right? So your third layer will be database layer. So how it works means, it is your application layer, it is your service presentation layer. From the presentation layer, you are going to see the application layer, right? If you want to access the application layer, what we need actually? API. From the API, you are going to access the application. Okay. Inside the application, what we will consist of? Services. What we will consist of? For example, let's take Book My Show, and Book My Show is offering one of the movie ticket service. Okay. So how many users use this service? We need to maintain a structure, right? For this, what we are going to do is we are going to create a database. In this database, we are going to store how many number of users booked today's ticket. Okay. What's the price for the ticket, and where they have confirmed the ticket, on which region. Okay. On which mall they have went for the movies. All these things we are going to store on where? Database. So this database is presenting on which layer? Database layer only. Database we will maintain separate layer, that is called as your database layer. Here simply layers are nothing but your servers. In a single point, simply layers are nothing but your server. If you want to see the application, you need to have one server. Okay, that is what you call as your proxy server. I will tell you what is the proxy server. And if you want to access the application, you need to have the application server. And if you want to access the data, we need to have the database server. So tier or else layer is also called as your servers on real-time environment. I will talk about servers later. Let's confirm this one first of all. So this database layer is used to store the data. The application layer is going to communicate with which layer, guys? Database layer. So once I open the presentation layer, the presentation layer is going to communicate with the application layer. And after this application layer is going to communicate with the database layer. Because if you want to book some of the tickets for today's movie called Masuda, all these data is going to present on database layer only. Application will never consist data. Okay. Application layer is never going to consist data. Data is going to consisting on the database layer. Which layer? Let me show some live example for you. Let's use this same book my show tickets only. Okay. You will have a clear idea now. So open this one. So once you open the book my show tickets, the first layer you are going to see is, are you seeing the presentation layer? Clear. How I can access the application layer from here? By using API, right? By using like clicking on the mouse or by using some of the input from the keyboard, I am going to access the application layer, because once you open the application, the default layer will be presentation layer. Until and unless if you don't perform any action, you will be storing on presentation layer only. If I perform any of the action by using keyboard or by using mouse, I am going to for which layer? So currently you are on which layer? You are now on application layer. Then again you perform some operations, then you will be communicating with the database layer. Here if you see, I am only seeing this movie, right? I don't have any information. What is the ticket price? On how much malls it is available? What is the theater I need to go? I don't have any information. Again, if I perform some operation by using keyboard or by using mouse, it is going to communicate with what kind of layer? Are you seeing the database? Enter this is going to be presenting on your data only. Like data will be two types, guys. One is the user data. They want to show us. Second one is the company data. They will collect from us. These both are different. So don't confuse. You will get a clear clarity when you are on the middle of the course. Okay. We are going to do all this practical. Okay. So here we are going to interact with the database layer. On the database layer, are you seeing each and every data about your book my show tickets? So if you can process some of the operations here, then you can book your movie tickets. So this is how every application works. Okay, not only this application, if you take Paytm, if you take Swiggy, if you take Zomato, even if you take YouTube, every application is going to have the same functionality. Every application is going to have the. So how many number of layers we have? What are those? Presentation layer, application layer, database layer. Perfect. So application layer is going to communicate with which layer? Database layer. And presentation layer is going to communicate with the presentation layer is used for what purpose? To view the application. If you want to see the application, we must and should have the presentation layer. Sir, what does and how we are going to prepare the presentation layer means, you know, web technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all these are going to be included on your presentation layer. So this thing will be developed by the UI developers. Who is going to develop it? Let me write here. So remove all of this. Coming from the layer, I will talk about one by one component. First layer is going to be your presentation layer. Presentation layer. Okay. So presentation layers is developed by which type of engineers? UI developers. UI developers. Okay. What kind of technologies they are going to use? Web technologies. Those are called as HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and some of the framework like React, Node. You know this, right? So this complete presentation layer is going to develop by the UI developers only and using web technologies. After presentation layer, you are going to carry it to one more layer. What is your layer number 2? Application layer. Okay. Let me give about this application layer. So application layer is going to develop by developers. Okay. Software developer means there will be a lot of combination, guys. Everyone is a software developer. If you are working on software, this UI guy is a software developer. And the person who write the C, Java, Python, he is also a software developer. But he is UI developer and he is normal programmer. So here you can write application on any of the programming language. So it is developed by developers. Okay. So here you can use C, Java, Python, whatever you want. You will have Go language, you will have Rust language. Okay. You will have Swift, you will have C#. And like there will be a lot of languages. Okay. But among them, you can choose any of them. Okay. Presentation layer is by UI developers. Application is developed by developers. Okay. Presentation layer, you are going to use what kind of technologies? Web technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And application layer, you are going to use C, Java, all this. And what is your final layer? Database layer. Database layer is also called as data layer. So it is going to maintain by the database admins. Or you can simply call them as SQL developers. What you can call as? Okay, database will have a lot of types. SQL is a database. Okay, like Oracle is a database. Amazon Aurora is a database. MySQL, MariaDB, like Postgres. All these are your database. You can use any of the database depending upon your requirement. The person who work on the SQL is called a SQL developer. Okay. So the database types you can use is like simply MySQL, MariaDB. Have you used this Arango? ArangoDB. Next, Amazon Aurora. Okay, there will be like a lot of types. Like you will have up to minimum to minimum, you will have 15 to 20 types. Like I am telling about the minimum. Like all these names you even ever heard about it. There will be n number of data types, guys. But on real time, there will be popularly using 5 to 6 databases. That is NoSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, ArangoDB, Postgres, and another one is Oracle DB. Okay, like 5 to 6 are the most and repetitive database used on every organization. So this is the thing how the real time works. So not every single engineer is going to develop the application. Application is going to develop by different type of software engineers. Okay. The first of all, work will always start with the UI developers, and after that it is going for the programmers, and after that it is going to the. So this is how we can work on the real time. So there is some other thing called as full stack developers. Full stack developer means they are going to work on the all things from scratch, starting point to ending point. They are going to work on the each and every functionality. So this is how application is built up of completely. Now have you got an idea on which layer what we are going to use and how the application is going to build? Clear for everyone? Okay. Online guys, can you please respond me on chat? Up to now, clear or not? Okay. Perfect. So all of your queries, I will solve at 10. Don't worry about the queries. I will answer all of your queries. So now you have got how the application is built, right? So now we have a clarity what kind of layers on application we have and how it is going to build. Sir, then how many type of applications we have? Have you ever got this kind of doubts? How many kind of application we can build? Application means we know, but the kind of application means none of us is going to know up to now. But now you will have a clear idea. What are the types of applications? Let me share my screen to you. Is any Java student or Python student here? Okay. So what are the types of application you can build with Java or Python? As a programmer, all you are going to work on application, right? So what kind of application you are going to build? Okay. 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 So some of here is saying mobile applications and Android applications. You are telling that, right? But that is not the way you need to tell. Okay. When you are talking about the type of application, there will be majorly three type of applications. Majorly, how many types? One is your standalone application. What it is? I will tell you. What is the meaning of standalone? Like already some people from the online responded. Yeah, Jeevan, it is correct. Standalone and application. And Pramit also correct. Desktop and web application. I will tell you. And monolithic is different. Like someone here answered as monolithic and microservice. Monolithic and microservice is different. It's called as your architecture. Okay. I will explain this on the Docker concept. So let's go to your presentation part. So here, when we are talking about the types of software architecture, up to now we have seen only the layers. For every architecture, you need to have these three layers. What are those three layers? Presentation, application, and database. Presentation layer is used for what purpose? View the application. And the type of things we are going to use here is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Second layer is your developed by developers. And what you are going to use here? Python, Java, and any of the programming language. For what purpose we are using this application layer? To perform operations on the application. And your last layer is database layer. Database layer is developed by SQL developers or any other database developers. And here you are going to use what kind of databases? MySQL, NoSQL, MariaDB, MongoDB, all these types. Okay. And database layer is to store the data and retrieve the data. Okay. And it performs some of the operation like insertion, deletion, updation. All these are some of the basic operation of your databases. So all this layer we are going to include on each and every architecture. So coming to the type of architecture, how many type of architectures we have? 4 types. What are those? 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and so let's discuss about 1 tier architecture. What we are going to discuss now? By using 1 tier architecture, we can develop 1 tier applications. What we can develop? These 1 tier applications is called as your standalone applications. What we can call as? By using 1 tier architecture, you can develop 1 tier application. 1 tier application is also called as your standalone application. You can call it as desktop application as well. What we can call it as? The meaning of standalone application is the best example we can say is if you are developing an application, the application will work on its laptop. If you have a laptop, if you have a desktop, if the application works only on this laptop, but not working on the outside, it is called as your standalone application. What we can call it as? The best example we can take it is VLC media player. What we can take it is? So on this standalone application, every layer, presentation layer, application layer, database layer, all these are going to presenting on the single tier. How many tiers? That is called as your client tier. Let me mark this one. So presentation layer, application layer, and database layer All these are going to presenting on how many tiers? Single tier. That is called as your, sir, what is client tier? Client tier is nothing but your local laptop. You are using it, right? So it is called as your client tier. Sir, how this is going to work is, for example, let's take the VLC media player example. What I said is, if you are talking about standalone applications, everything needs to be done on our local laptop. We need not to connect to any other sources. If you go to the VLC media player, go to the VLC media player. Is this VLC media player on your local or not? Open this one. Are you seeing the presentation layer? And if you want to play the song is also in your local. So here every component, your application, your data and your presentation, all on your local only. So this kind of application is called as your standalone application. Another name is desktop application. Each component of application presenting on the desktop, that is called as your standalone application. Clear? Okay. So second type of thing is like here I have said what I have just explained. One tier architecture have all three layers: presentation, data, and business layer will be on single software package. That means it is going to present on the single computer only. Applications that handle all three tiers such as MP3 players. MP3 player, everything is local. And if you talk about MS Office, if you open this, like if you are seeing this one, this is your MS Word document, right? Are you seeing the presentation layer? Are you seeing the data? By using this application, you are going to open the MS Word or not? So MS Word is an application. Are you seeing the presentation layer? And data is storing on where? You are locally. So is it a standalone application? That's it. So the data is stored on your local system. So where your data is going to store? Local system. If you see this Word document is presenting on my local or not? So everything, your application needs to be on local, your data needs to be on local, and presentation layer is always going to be a local laptop only. If you see all of them on your local, it is called as your standalone applications. What we can call it as? Another name of standalone application is desktop applications. Okay. So coming to the second architecture, it is your two-tier architecture. What it is? Same application. Okay. Now this time we can use Spotify. What we can use? All of us have mobile, right? Like we can use Spotify, JioSaavn or Ghana, like whatever you want. If you see application is in your mobile, but songs are not on your mobile. Songs is going to store on internet. Where you are going to store? In internet, Spotify has its own database. Spotify has its own database. In that database, they are going to maintain all the songs we need. Okay. Spotify application you can download to your local. But if you want to play the songs, you need to connect to the internet. So these kind of applications is called as client server applications. What we can call as? On the client server application, it is developed by two-tier architecture. Two-tier architecture can develop what kind of applications? Client server application. If you see this one, on the client layer, presentation layer and application will be on your local computer. So your Spotify you can download on local computer, right? So presentation layer and application layer will be on your local laptop. But the database will be on separate. You can maintain it separately. So if you want to use that application, definitely we need to connect to the internet. Without connecting to the internet or without connecting to the any server, can we able to play the songs here? No, right? So that means the JioSaavn is, or else like Ghana or else Spotify is going to connect to the server here. So if you are going to connect to the server, that is especially data server, it is called as your two-tier architecture. Which architecture? Two-tier architecture. How many tiers will be there? Two-tier. One is your, second one is your. But when we see the one-tier architecture, how many layers you have? Only one layer. That is your client layer. But here if you see, client layer will be there and database layer will be there. Sir, then what about the application layer? Application layer is also going to present on your client layer. Where it is going to present? Client layer. So application you are going to download to your local or not? Local is nothing but your client layer. So presentation layer is on your local and application layer is also your local. But if you want to use this application, what kind of layer you are going to connect? Database layer we are going to connect. So these kind of applications are called as your client server application. मैं बोलता हूँ. Okay. So this is your second tier of application. Okay. So if you see this one, client system handles both presentation layer and application layer. So client system handles both presentation layer and application layer. And server system handles database layer. So these kind of applications are also called as your client server application. So the communication takes place between the client and server. If you see, where does the communication takes place? Sir, how it is going to work? You are going to open your laptop and you are going to click on Geo7 application. So the 7 application is opening for you. If you want to play the song, you are going to send request to the database server. Request is sending to the database server. Database layer will get the song for us. And again, it is going to send the response to the client tier. From the client tier, we are going to play the song. This is how the communication is going to take place. To take place the communication, what we need actually? Internet, okay. Like communication, if you want to interact, what we need? APIs, definitely. You can mention. If you download it locally, if you are able to application, if there is an application, if you are able to download to your local, and if you are able to connect to the server, those kind of application, any, you can call it as 2-tier. And finally, we have your 3-tier application on real time. 95% of all your applications are 3-tier applications only. What kind of application it is? 3-tier application. 3-tier application you can develop by using 3-tier architecture. What kind of architecture? So 3-tier application is also called as web application. What we can call it as? Someone will call it as web application. Someone will call it as web-based applications. Both are correct. Okay. If you see this, every real-time thing you are going to use web application. Let's take about YouTube. Do we have YouTube on our local? You can have it on local. But even if you don't have on your local, you can access it from web or not. Okay. The difference between 2-tier and 3-tier is on 2-tier, application is going to present on your local. On 2-tier, application is going to present on your, but on 3-tier, application is going to present on your internet. Where it is going to present? For example, if you see here, do you have YouTube here on my local? No, right? But even if I click here, from here, can I access the YouTube application? So these kind of applications are called as your 3-tier application. 3-tier application also called as web application, because here the application you are going to access is from web. Without web, you can't access the application. Okay. If you access the application from the web, it is called as your web application. What we can call it as? Publication. Okay. So let's see the architecture. Here if we see, client tier is separate, application tier is separate, and database tier is also. Let's see it practically. First of all, your client tier is computer. What your client tier is? So I'm using my computer, right? So from the computer, I am going to connect to the application server. What I'm going to connect to the? What does application tier consist of? Application only, right? So from my computer, this is my computer. I'm opening here and I click on YouTube here. Am I able to connect to the application server? Application server consists of YouTube application. Are you able to see the YouTube application here? On YouTube application, if I want to play a song, if I want to play a song called Vikram title song. So this Vikram title song is presenting on the database of YouTube. Where it is going to present? If I perform an operation by using a mouse click or keyboard input, am I getting data or not? Am I getting data? So can I use this data to play? So this is how the architecture is going to work. From the client to application. From the application to. So this is how the request is going to send in real time. No matter on which organization you work, the same process will be there. As it is what I have mentioned here, the same process is going to be there and you are going to work on the same architecture. So here, how many type of layers we have? 3. What are those? Application and database. And there will be somewhat called as your N-tier architecture. Architecture of 4 types: 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and finally N-tier. N-tier is nothing but your 3-tier alternative. Simply, I will tell you. By using N-tier architecture, you can develop N-tier application. N-tier application also known as your distributed application. What we can call it as? It is same like your 3-tier architecture only. It is same like your. But here the only difference is here you are going to have more than one application server. On 3-tier, you have only one application server. But on N-tier, you are going to have more than one application server. That is called as your N-tier architecture. Rest of the things are same. But the only difference is number of application servers are going to increase here. That's the thing. So let's recall what we have discussed on the so far today's class. First of all, coming to the software architecture, how many type of software architecture we have? 4 type. No, 4 type. Architecture are 4 type. How many are those? 4 types. What are those? 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and N tier. So a tier can also be called as layer. Layer is nothing but simply your server, you can call it as. We are going to talk servers on the next class. So layer is also called as your server. Sir, how many number of layers or how many number of servers we require to create an application? How many number of servers we need? 3. What are those? Presentation layer, application layer, database layer. So your first layer for every application is presentation layer. Presentation layer, what kind of developers are going to work here? UI developers. And what kind of technologies they are going to use? Web technologies. Those are HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React, Node, all of these. So the main purpose of this presentation layer is to view the application and also to communicate with the application layer. So coming to the application layer, what does it consist of? Application layer consists of application only. Okay. So application is going to develop by what kind of programming languages? Java, C, C++, everything. Okay. The main purpose of the application layer is to perform the operation. And second thing is to communicate with the database. Communicate with the, how the communication takes place from one tier to another tier? Through API. Meaning of API is application programming interface. Perfect. So, and what is your final layer? Data layer. Database layer main purpose is to store and that data and retrieve the data. Okay. So coming to the architectures, how many type of architectures we have? 4 architectures. On this 4 architecture, every layer will be same. Okay. For every architecture, we are going to have presentation layer, application layer, as well as your database layer. By using 1 tier architecture, what kind of applications you can develop? Standalone application. Another name for standalone application is desktop application. So how many number of layers will be on this standalone application? 1 layer. What is the layer name? Client layer. On this client layer, you are going to have each and every layer presenting here. Okay. Best example is VLC media player. So what is your second type of architecture? Two-tier architecture. By using two-tier architecture, what kind of applications you can develop? Client server application. So here, how many tiers you are going to have? What are those tiers? Client layer and application layer. Client layer consists of presentation layer and application layer, and database layer consists of database. What is the best example for this? Spotify. Spotify here, like on the one tier architecture, everything will be your local only. Everything will be, but on two tier architecture, application will be your local, but data will be on some other place. What is your third, like a third kind of architecture? Three-tier architecture. By using three-tier architecture, what kind of applications you can develop? Web applications, right? So how many number of layers you are going to have here? What are those? Client layer. What is the best example for it? YouTube. Okay. And what is your last layer, guys? Entire application. By using entire application, what you can develop? Distributed applications. What we can develop? Distributed applications. So what is the difference between three-tier and n-tier? Number of application servers are going to have more than one. If you are having more than one application server, it is called as your entire application. So this is about the software architecture. When you are going to work on the software, no matter if you are working on developer, if you are working as a tester, or even if you're working as a some other database or some any admin, all your main motto is to bring the software on the market. All our main motto is to bring the software to the market. But without knowing the software architecture, can we able to work on real time? All right. So for that purpose, the first and foremost class of my class is to understand the software architecture. Okay. Here we are not going to create the software actually. As a DevOps engineer, your duty and your role is to deploy the software. Okay. You need to deploy the software applications. If you want to deploy the software applications, you need to have some basic understanding, right? Here you are going to implement this one by one. So now what are the things you have seen here? Once we are into DevOps course, you are going to build this entirely by your own hands. So we are going to create some applications. We are going to control database and we are going to see the data. Everything will be hands-on here. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Like some of the people are here, developers and tester. I think so. Like some of the people are attending to the online. I will give a clear clarity. Like DevOps is why this much having this demand. Let me tell you. If you are working as a developer, okay, if you are working as a developer, you can only develop the application. You can only, it is the part one only. It is the beginning part actually. If you are working as a tester, you can only test the application. If you are working as a database developer, like database admin, you can only create database and work on them. But here the every activity finally is going to create the software, right? Our main motto is to create the software. Developers will write the software. Tester is going to test the software, and database people is going to maintain databases for the software. But here, without DevOps engineer, they can't do anything. Why? Because if you develop the software, and if you are not able to give it to the end user, to your customer, you are not able to give it, then is there any point on developing software? No, right? It is waste of time. Then who is going to give the application to the developer? Means like not developer. Then who is going to give the application to the user? Means DevOps engineer. Who is going to give it? Without DevOps engineer, application will never go to the end user because we are the one who is going to deploy it into the servers. What are the applications you are going to use now? Everything you are using from server only. You think you are developing, like not developing, you think you are using the application from your mobile. How you got the application to your mobile? No. First of all, you will get it from Play Store. Where you will get it from? But Play Store will get the application from server itself. Okay. From server, how does the application comes to the server? From us. I will give a roadmap how it exactly works. First of all, here, can I remove all of this? Perfect. First of all, application, the initial stage is given to the developers. And after that, it comes to the testers. And after that, database is going to do some activities. And finally, we are going to deploy. Who are going to deploy here? We means DevOps engineers. Who? So now, how we are going to take it to the end user means once you deploy to the server, the application is going to available on server. So then Google is going to make it available on Play Store. From Play Store, user is going to have it on their mobile. If DevOps engineer is not there, he is not going to deploy it on server. Then are you able to use any of the application? We can't use the application. There is a chance of using application. How we can use the application means we can go to the developer and we can take his laptop and we can use it. Can we use like that? It is highly impossible, right? So DevOps engineer is responsible for the every application that you are using now. Of course, it is developed by developers and tested by tester. But without us, no one is going to give application for us. Clear now? That's it. So now if you are having any doubts on today's class, you can ask me. So first of all, I will go with the online queries. Then we will discuss it later. Okay. So online people, like I am getting some doubts from you. Like, let me clear all of this. Sir, can we get presentation? Definitely. Like once you enroll for the course, you will get these presentations. Okay. So I am working as internal project for a company, but sometimes we initiate an action of application, but it doesn't come to database. Why it happens? So Sakshi, what kind of application it is? Can you please brief me? I will give like why it is happening like this. Sir, what about NTR architecture? Yeah, like I think we have discussed this. Example is like you can take any web applications. Okay, NTR means there is nothing separate. Web applications only, but you are maintaining multiple servers. That's it. So backend, this session is not for full stack. Yeah, okay. Hi sir, I'm working on API automation testing and some part of DevOps. What kind of engineer I will be called as? You will come from automation engineering only, because even if you work on DevOps only, DevOps will be completely for automation. Okay. So you can name yourself as automation engineer. Okay. Sir, what are the services taught in DevOps? It's not service actually, it is going to call as tools. Okay. So let me show you the syllabus as well. Yesterday I have forgot to show the syllabus for you. Don't say. You can get the syllabus from admin actually. Okay. So there you have got the admin number. If you ping to admin, like you can get the syllabus copy. So first of all, like we are going to start with DevOps intro. And after that, we are going to cover Linux. What we are going to cover? So these are the all topics we are going to cover on Linux, guys. Okay. These are the all topics. And again, you will have some additional topics. If you enroll for the DevOps, Linux will be completely free. It is 30 days course. Okay. It is not a part of our course, but you can join there freely. Like it is taught by one more trainer. You can join there. So coming to the cloud services, like we are going to cover all of this. EC2 we are going to cover, VPC, S3, CRR, EBS, IAM, CLI, RDS, ELB, SNS, SQS, and code build, code commit, all of this we are going to cover. Not only this, there will be some additional concepts called, I am going to cover Amazon machine images. It is called as your AMI concept. And there is Elastic, Bean, Stack. So it is called as your EBS. So some more topics I am also cover extra for you. Okay. It is for your reference only, but the content what you are seeing here, I am going to cover more than this. So on AWS, you are going to cover at least 15 topics. On a least case, we are going to cover. Okay. Coming to DevOps. First of all, we are going to start Git. Git and GitHub. These are all topics we are going to cover. And after that, we are going to cover Maven, And Jenkins we will have easily 40 to 50 concepts we are going to cover. On a least case we are going to cover. Okay. So these are the number of topics we are going to cover on Jenkins. If you see, like, it will be almost 2 pages for only Jenkins. Okay. What are the tools you are going to learn here is completely we are dedicating 1 week for each tool, not least 2 or 3 days. Each and every tool you are going to learn on a least case 1 week. How many days? 1 week. Jenkins 1 week, Ansible 1 week, Docker 1 week, Kubernetes 1 week, Terraform 1 week. Okay. So every tool what you are going to learn is completely 1 week. But there are some small tools like Maven. Maven is very small tool. We can finish it on 2 days, like that. And even if you talk about Linux also we are going to cover on a least case 1 week. AWS also like more than 1 week. It will take 10 or like that minimum. So coming to the Docker, these are the Docker concepts we are going to cover completely. And after that, Nagios and Ansible. After that, Kubernetes. And finally, we are going to cover Terraform. Remember, guys, Terraform, you won't get anywhere this much of content because especially I am going to focus on Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes. If you learn Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, there will be large number of jobs on market. Okay. For the experienced people who want to switch or who want to make some experience on your real time. So this content is for purely for them because previously I have said, right? Our batch one, like a morning, there will be batch just before couple of days it is completed. There are some people who went with experience. He have gone with 2.5 years of experience with our course and he got the package of 7.5 LPA. Okay. This course is for completely experienced guys. So nowhere you will get this much of content anywhere. Like if you want, you can take this syllabus copy and you can compare anywhere. Okay. And after that, we are going to cover scripting on your Linux part. And there will be some tools called code and artifact tools. Those are called as your JFrog and SonarQube. And these are your real-time projects. So real-time projects you are going to do 6. But here I have mentioned only 4 only. So those additional 2 are your complementary for you. Okay. By default, we are going to get 4, but the 2 of them are complementary for you extra. So real-time project, we are going to do it on every tool. If we complete Jenkins, we are going to do a project on Jenkins. If we complete Ansible, I'm going to do a project on Ansible. If we complete Docker, I'm going to do a project on Docker and Kubernetes and even Terraform. If we complete a tool means, then you are going to do a project on that. Next, there will be some other topics like LAMP setup and virtualization, software architectures, and like this monolithic and microservice. These are your Docker and Kubernetes concept. Okay. And like coming to the web application servers, what kind of servers we are going to use on real time and what we are going to learn here. There will be 2 types of servers. One is web server, second one is your web application server. We are going to learn all of these kind of servers. And coming to the deployment types, like no one is going to teach all of this, but we are going to teach all of this, how the deployment is going to work. Like practically not, theoretically you will have a good knowledge. Even if you go for the experience level, they will ask these kind of questions. But no one is going to teach this kind of deployment types, but we are going to discuss on your course. So that's it guys. Like if you want this course content, let me upload it on a chart. Give me 1 second. Don't type any of the messages because if you type message like okay, here I'm not able to upload any of this. Okay, let's do one thing. Like you have the admin number, right? So you can ping to the admin. Like if you don't have, you can take it from here. Like just only call on WhatsApp only. Like I will recommend you to ping on WhatsApp because they are having a lot of calls, right? So ping on WhatsApp and ask them to give the syllabus copy. So G1, you will get your placement once the course complete only because without completing the course, we are not going to attend for the interview, right? So once the course is completed, you will have some interviews from Naresh IT. So Sakshi, presently I'm working on UK company and we're working on software on which conduct interviews and enroll advisors for the companies. Sometimes we. Even you can shoot on local as well, Sakshi. You don't require any database admin for it. You can store it on your local as well. It is possible. Like here, if you want to know more about it, like you can go for the software architecture of your internal company. Yeah, definitely. Like I am also going to take some sessions for the people who want to build their resume. I'm going to tell the resume building session and as well as career guidance as well. Okay. Those will be completely free of cost. Okay. Once you enroll for the course, I am going to tell how to build the resume for fresher and even as well experience as well. Let me show some resume for you. Give me a second. So this is how your resume will look like once your course is done. Let's go with the experience. So if you see this one, are you seeing this resume? So all these things you are going to learn here only. Okay. If you take this resume to company directly, and if you learn all of this, what I have said on class, you will be eligible to crack that interview. Definitely. So experience resume you are going to build like this. And there is one more resume for your fresher. Let me show it to you. It is your fresher resume. So fresher is going to have a resume like this. It's not like a normal resume. It is some professional resume. Like what are the course you have learned here? You are going to make a list of it completely. That's it. Yeah, we do have session for tomorrow as well. Tomorrow, same time. Okay, 9 a.m. Data scientist mainly focused on Python development. This course is for based on Java application deployment. Induraj, like you can deploy any application, not only Java. You can deploy Python application or you can deploy React application. Any application you can deploy. Deployment process same. Deployment process never change. Okay. I hope it is clear for you, Induraj. Sir, I am from Jammu. What is the procedure for hands-on practice? Like if you want to practice, like you can practice on your home only. Like there will be some guidance for you from the online mentors here. So you can get the guidance from there as well. I'm from .NET background. Is this what? Yes, definitely. Even if you're non-IT as well, this is completely apt for you because previously I have said, right, a guy cracked an interview. Like he's from civil background, not from like CSC or EC background. Even though he's from non-IT background, he is able to crack the job. How many offer letters he got? 3 offer letters. Even before our course is not done yet, but he has cracked all of those jobs. Just all you need is the passion to learn. That's it. Here there will be a lot of helping for you from my end, as well as if you go for lab as well, there will be mentors. They will be help for you. Okay. Don't worry about your learning part. You will get the best content. Okay. Content wise, I will deliver my best because I have worked on R&D. So you know what is R&D, right? So what are the knowledge I have gained there? I am going to share the same knowledge for you here as well. So Premit sir, I'm a front-end developer. Now I am switching to DevOps. It's been definitely you can switch without any. Will DevOps suit for .NET application deployed on IaaS? Definitely, why can't? Here on the syllabus, I have mentioned itself. If we talk about this one, are you seeing this IaaS? Here I will tell you how to deploy an IaaS as well. I hope it is clear for you, Naresh. So can we install DevOps on our laptop? Like we only required one tool, guys. We only required one tool, that is your Mobaxterm. Only that one application is required to download from the internet. You don't require any other things, okay? And the thing is, from tomorrow onwards, we are going to have practical sessions, like hands-on tomorrow is going to be. So we are going to create servers. What we are going to create? Servers. If you want to work on servers, you need to create AWS account, okay? To create your AWS account, you need to have either credit card or debit card. So from tomorrow, who is coming to the class, bring any of the card. It might be credit or debit, but you need to maintain Visa card or MasterCard. Some people will take PayPal or else like some other cards, Rupee card. Those won't will be work. You need to take Visa card or MasterCard. If you are from US, you will have American Express card and Discovery card. You can use those as well. So okay, so for the online people, it's clear for today's class. So we'll meet you all tomorrow. Have a nice day. 9 a.m. batch you are teaching. If I join, no, another batch will be the same trainer. You will have some other trainer, okay? The trainer will vary for each batch. You will be the same teacher. I ask you this because I like your teaching. Okay, thank you, Indiraj. So if you go for the other batch, there will be some other training. So the mode of teaching is completely different from me and there as well. Even if you want to test, like you can join some demos as there. Okay. And you can compare my way of teaching and other way of teaching, and you can come to here. Okay. That's it. Okay, guys, then thanks for joining today. So meet you all tomorrow. From tomorrow onwards, we are going to create servers and working on it. What we are going to create? Perfect.